The physical self. Physical self involves the perception and evaluation of one's physical ability and appearance. It is how you portray your own physical self. The important aspect of physical in one's physical feature is that people often perceive initially by their physical features, such as the face, body structure, the height, the weight, and fitness. Just like David Lade, he has an ectomorph body before, and he did everything to work out his body and build an aesthetic physique. However, more than the physical attributes a person shows, people should also consider the physical competencies on how they are able to execute things with their skills. Their valuation of physical worth and perception of beauty. Because most of us people have different perception of beauty. Just for example, Daniel Padilla, and some people's perception, they consider him as attractive and some are not. The physical self or the biological blueprint. Am I handsome? Do people find me attractive? What can I do to enhance my features? These questions underlie our physical self, which embodies our physical appearance and what we see in the mirror, and what often triggers people's first impression of others. Physical self is not just about what our naked eye can see, but underneath our skin is a dynamic system of biological and chemical processes that contributes to our physical features. The philosophical statement, what is essential is visible to the eye, can also refer to underlying physiological processes that trigger bodily changes and eventually sustain our survival. The shape of our bodies, our height, weight, skin color, hair color, and other physical characteristics do not just develop at a random. These are triggered by genetic transformation and biological development, which are embodied in the concept of heredity. Now, you might wonder, what is heredity? So heredity has been defined as the transformation of traits from parents to offspring. In simple words, it is the passing of physical or mental characteristics genetically from one generation to another. In this illustration, the daughter inherited her hair from her mother, but she inherited the hair color of her hair from her father. She inherited the head shape from her father, also the nose, while she inherited her lips from her mother. The traits are made up of specific information embedded with one's gene, which is the basic unit of heredity. So this illustration shows that the son inherited the traits of her mother for being a loudspeaker, unlike his nonchalant father. It is not surprising that we have inherited our physical trait from both of our parents. When you look at the mirror, who do you think you resemble more, your father or your mother? For example, I look more like my father than my mother, but I inherited more of my traits from my mother than my father. So basically, this can be attributed to the concept of genotype and phenotype. Genotype refers to the specific information embedded within our genes. Not all genotypes translate to an observed physical characteristic of a person. To be more specific, genotype refers to the two forms a person has inherited from their mother and father for a particular gene. Phenotype is the physical expression of a particular trait or the observable characteristic or traits in an individual based on the expression of their genes. Genotype can only be determined through blood testing, but one's phenotype can be directly observed. So, for example, a man who has a black skin and a woman who has white skin produce a white-skinned baby. You can assume that the baby only took the skin color of his mom, but in a close examination of his genotype may reveal that he also inherited the gene for black skin from his father. The main reason why the baby took the white skin from its mom is because the white skin of the mom was dominant gene and the black skin of his dad was the recessive gene. Each individual carries about 23 pairs of chromosomes. The 23rd pair, also known as sex chromosome, determine the sex of an individual. The XX chromosome is for females, while the XY chromosome is for males. Within each chromosome is the deoxyribonucleic acid, or the DNA, which is a nucleic acid that contains the genetic instructions specifying the unique blueprint of an individual's physical features. The physical self on environmental conditioning. While our genetic information determines the extent of our physical features, it is not the only factor that influences our physical self. Grow, we're exposed to environmental influences that shape our physical self, including those from our social networks, societal expectations, and cultural practices. The physical self on achieving physical well-being. There is nothing wrong with enhancing our physical self. What is problematic is when we focus too much on physical beauty and disregard everything else. How do we take care of ourselves and our body? Here are just some tips. Embracing a healthy lifestyle. Avoid drinking, smoking, and other unhealthy habits would reduce the risk of illness and diseases and make your immune system stronger. So physical activities such as walking, running, or going to the gym and sports would also contribute to a healthier body. Adequate sleep quality. This is crucial for physical and mental well-being. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night and establish a consistent sleep schedule. Sleep management such as meditation, deep breathing exercises, yoga, or engaging in hobbies and activities you enjoy to reduce stress and help you more focused. Having the right hygiene. Personal hygiene involves practices such as regular bathing or showering, washing hands before meals, brushing teeth twice daily, and maintaining clean and trimmed nails. These habits help prevent the spread of germs and bacteria. Taking care of our body by maintaining a hygiene regimen can also help in making us feel good about ourselves.
The sexual self. It refers to how one thinks about themselves as a sexual individual. It speaks of your sexual health, sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression and values around your sexuality. We have 4 sexual concepts. Those are gender identity, sexual orientation, gender expression, and biological sex. Gender identity, based within our mind and how we label ourselves, just like me. My pronouns is she or her, so I identify myself as a girl. Sexual orientation. To whom are you sexually attracted? Some of individuals find themselves attracted to both men and women, and they consider themselves as bisexual. Gender expression. How you express yourself through gestures and what you wear. Me as a woman, I express myself by wearing feminine clothes, but sometimes I found myself comfortable wearing an opposite with those boyish clothes. Biological sex, it will depend on your hormones and genitalia. A biological feature that distinguishes males from females, the external genitals, penis for males and vagina for females. Sexual orientation is a dynamic spectrum and may change through time. A person may stay as a bisexual, heterosexual, homosexual, pansexual. They go through a process of discovery as they are uncertain. Example, Ollie London detransitions from a woman back to a man. Ollie London, who previously transitioned to a Korean woman portraying Rose from Blackpink, changed his mind again and transitioned to a British man citing God and Christianity as the reason. He is so uncertain with his own identity. He goes through a lot of process of discovering himself. Various experience, clothing and gestures may not show the gender of a person. Certainly, consider a person who identifies as non-binary, they may choose to wear clothing that is traditionally associated with either gender or they may mix elements from both. Their gestures and mannerism may not conform to societal expectations of gender expression. In this case, their clothing and gestures may not align with binary notions of gender, highlighting the complexity and fluidity of gender expression. Everyone desires to be happy. Regardless of sexual orientation and gender identity, everybody wants to be happy. Imagine a group of friends hanging out together. Among them are individuals who identify as heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual, and pansexual. Some identify as male, others as female, and some as non-binary. Despite their diverse sexual orientations and gender identities, they all share the common desire to experience happiness and fulfillment in their lives. They may have different paths to achieving happiness, but ultimately, their shared human experience transcends labels and identities. And to prevent, to avoid, and to fight against discrimination towards gender identity and sexual orientation, it is crucial to promote education, awareness, and inclusivity. By taking this, we can create a more inclusive and equitable society where everyone, regardless of their gender identity or sexual orientation, can live free from discrimination and prejudice. We humans tend to focus to our body. There are people who give so much importance to their face, appearance, body form, and strength. When you look at yourself in the mirror, what do you see in it? Only a few would be satisfied. So, women invest their money to skincare products, body care, and makeup to make themselves feel much better and be look more confident. And to men, some are gym rats who spend more time in fitness gym to get their desired body shape and satisfy their self-esteem.
The biology of sex. For males, include outgrowth of facial and bodily hair, the emerging Adam's apple, deepening of the voice, and muscle development. For females, menstruation and changes in the hips, breast, and skin, sexual changes during the developmental stage. When adolescents feel sexual urges, they are likely engaged in sexual activities that would satisfy those urges. Activities such as watching and reading pornography, engage in kissing, perform masturbation, and other desire for sexual pleasure. The next one, the consequences of sexual choice. Discussing the consequences of sexual choice often involves navigating complex social, cultural, and personal factors. In some societies, individuals may face discriminations, prejudice, or even violence based on their sexual orientations or choices. This stigma can lead to social isolation, mental health issues, and decreased quality of life. And in terms of health risk, engaging in certain sexual behaviors without protections or precautions can increase the risk of sexually transmitted infections such as HIV and AIDS or unplanned pregnancies. It is important that an adolescent should make responsible decisions with regard to their sexuality and sexual behaviors. Respect for one's body. This would mean taking care of one's body and avoiding activities that undermine one's worth and respect. The next one, maturity and thoughts and deeds. Thoughts and deeds. This would refer to being objective and rational and calm instead of being swept by one's emotion. Being guided by one's personal beliefs and core values. An adolescent should always be grounded by his personal principles and self-worth. Being future-oriented. Instead of focusing on the present, always weigh your actions now with possible consequences in the future. Sexual pleasures might be overwhelming at the moment, but always focus what it will entail in the future. The obsession to have a beautiful face and body. The obsession with having a beautiful face and body is a complex issue influenced by societal standards, media, portrayals, cultural norms, and individual psychology. Individuals may feel pressured to conform to narrow beauty ideals, leading to unhealthy behavior such as extreme dieting, cosmetic surgery, or excessive exercise. Examples: the tragedy of Michael Jackson, the demand of cosmetic surgery, skin whiteners, rhinoplasty, lip fillers, and etc. Malnutrition among young women due to improper way of dieting. So the next one is the golden ratio, the perfect face. The golden ratio, also known as the divine proportion or phi, is a mathematical ratio of approximately 1.618:1, which has been theorized to represent aesthetically pleasing proportions found in nature and art. One of the examples is symmetrical faces, that often considered more attractive, and the golden ratio is sometimes used to measure the symmetry of facial features. Then, the next one. Beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. Indeed, the phrase beauty is in the eye of the beholder reflects the subjective nature of beauty. What one person finds attractive or aesthetically pleasing may differ from another's perceptions. This concept highlights the diversity of human preferences, experiences, and cultural influences. Body art and status symbol. Body art, such as tattoos and piercings, can serve as status symbols in various cultural contexts. It is an expression of individuality. Body art is seen as a form of self-expression and individuality. People may choose tattoos or piercings to express their personal beliefs, values, or experiences.
Androsexual. Androsexual refers to someone who is attracted to men and masculinity. For example, a woman who is exclusively attracted to men would be considered androsexual. Bisexual. An example of someone who identifies as bisexual could be a person who is attracted to both men and women. Closeted. Closeted refers to someone who has not openly disclosed their sexual orientation or gender identity to others. Demisexual is a term used to describe someone who only experiences sexual attraction after forming a strong emotional bond or connection with another person. Fluid or gender fluid. In the context of sexual orientation or gender identity, refers to someone whose attractions or identity may change over time or in different situations. Heterosexual refers to someone who is primarily or exclusively attracted to people of a different gender. Homosexual, same as gay, it refers to someone who is primarily or exclusively attracted to people of the same gender. Lesbian. Lesbian specifically refers to a woman who is primarily or exclusively attracted to other women. It used to describe a woman's sexual orientation. LGBTQIA is an acronym that stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer or questioning, intersex, and asexual or ally. It encompasses a diverse range of sexual orientations, gender identities, and expressions within the community. Pansexual refers to someone who is attracted to people regardless of their gender identity or biological sex. Questioning. Questioning refers to someone who is uncertain or exploring their sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression. Romantic attraction. It refers to the emotional, romantic, or affectionate feelings one person has for another. It can involve a desire for romantic relationships, intimacy, and connection with another individual. Unlike sexual attraction, which is primarily about physical desire, romantic attraction often encompasses emotional connection, shared experiences, and a desire for companionship.